For more awesome content, head to ystech.org, link in the description. Hi there, it's Wise from ystech.org, otherwise known as Beezito from the YouTube channel. And today we've got a little bit of a request. So we've got Tony Rotherham here. He's wanting to build a computer for $3,000 in New Zealand. Very healthy budget. It's huge. And you know what? Let's go ahead and do it for him. So we've got the build here, and it comes to $2,979. We've got a few options, 2 or 3 options, let's say, and the price will change depending on the configurations you wish to go. One note, yeah, I think you're right on the RTX 3070. The 3060 Ti is definitely a powerful graphics card as well. I'd personally probably go with the 3060 Ti if I were you, just to save a little bit. It's probably equivalent to 2080 or so, but it's up to you. The RTX 3070 is pretty good as well. So let's go over the build. So I've gone actually with the AMD Ryzen 5 3600, and this comes in about 362 from Computer Lounge. It's a 6-core processor, as you know, and it's 12 threads. It's plenty for gaming. It's a very powerful processor, and I'd highly recommend it. Now there are 2 other processor options that I would go for if you find that the Ryzen 5 3600 is not so much in your taste. These 2 are quite monsters as well. So these are the 2 other options. The AMD Ryzen 5 5600, it's a clocked at 3.7 gigahertz. It's a 6-core 12-thread processor as well, I believe, but it's very quick. Currently out of stock, so you're gonna have to wait for this one. But it's a monster of a CPU, and this AMD Ryzen generation is just amazing. It's crazy. This one's about $520. And the other option, the alternative, you can't wait, is the AMD Ryzen 7 3700X. And this is about $538 from PB Tech. Now I was personally looking to upgrade to the 3700X, but I'm gonna hold off for now and wait for some specials. But 5600X and 3700X are some pretty good options to go for. So here's where the options pop up. So I've actually put in a water block here, an AIO. The reason I've done this is because I've actually personally have an EK AIO in my system. It's a 241, so only 2 fans, and the radio size is 240. This one is 360, and the performance is amazing. This guy's about $259. The 241 is $189 at the moment, I believe. And yeah, they perform really well. They look good. The build quality is sound. And the reason you would need something like this, well, personally why I would choose something like this, is for a high performing processor like the Ryzen 7 3700X and the Ryzen 5 5600X. Now the Ryzen 7 doesn't actually come with a CPU cooler, so you'd probably need to go with something like this. But even the 5600X, I'd probably choose the water block instead of going with the inbuilt fan that comes with it, especially because your build is so much. And the other option you have is just going with the Ryzen 5 3600 with its default cooler. Now its default cooler is not that great. The stock cooler that comes with it, it's okay. I'd still recommend an EK water block like this. Even the 240mm one is pretty good. And you can see the price difference here. I've brought them up on my calculator. So without the water block and the 3600, you'd come to 2,720. And with a water block and the Ryzen 7 or the Ryzen 5, the 5600X, you would come to about 3,131 at 37. So that's over your budget, I know. I'd personally go with the 3600 and go with an EK water block. This option probably, sorry, not this option, just 2,900 and something, whatever it was here, just the build. Yeah, I believe the 3600 is a powerful processor and shouldn't really bottleneck your RTX 3070 too much. It should be pretty decent for what it is. Yeah, but there's some options for you in terms of your CPU and your cooling options. So let's head over to the motherboard. We've gone with the Gigabyte X570 Gaming X80X AMD Ryzen motherboard. It's got good VRM heatsinks from what I can see on it. It's got a cool a plate here, so it's all hidden, and it's easy to mount in your motherboard as well. 16-8 slot looks pretty cool, and it's got one PCIe, I think 4th gen, for your M.2 or NVMe SSDs. Got 4 DIMM slots for RAM here, and AM4 for your Ryzen CPU to go in right there. I believe you should probably go with an X570 board, considering that your budget is so large, and that the X570 will be covering a larger range of AMD CPUs for the future. So if you do decide to go with the 3600, you do know in the future you definitely have the option to upgrade to newer AMD Ryzen CPUs that will come out in the future. So if you find, like, I don't know, 2-3 years down the line that it's saying keeping up with like what it should be, you can just pop that guy out and put a new CPU in, and you'll be all ready to go. So let's head over to the RAM. Now the RAM, I've gone with the HyperX Fury RGB 16GB. DDR4 3200. I know I couldn't really find 3600 like for a relatively similar price. 3600 is like, if you can stretch the budget an extra $50 for 16 gigs, you can get 3600 if you'd like. But 3200 should be good enough. You can overclock as well pretty easily. It's about $150 from PC Force, and cool RGB on the top. Only 2 in the future. If you'd like to upgrade, you can go ahead and do that. But I think 60 gigs is plenty, especially for right now. Yeah, I don't know what games you're playing. You don't really say, sorry, but yeah, 3200 should be plenty for a good AMD CPU like this. Yeah, it's pretty quick. Let's head over to the storage. Now I've only gone with the Samsung 970 EVO 500GB NVMe SSD. It's about $98 in PBTech right now. One hell of a steal. Not the, it's a really fast SSD. Not the fastest, but storage is relatively up to you. Personally, I only need 500 gigs from my boot drive, and I'd probably take another terabyte in storage. Realistically, I know I have 5 terabytes in my computer or more worth of storage, but that's besides the point. When I started out with my computer, I only needed about 1 terabyte. So storage is up to you. You can stretch it if you really want to get a cheaper hard drive or something, but I think the 500 gig NVMe SSD should be plenty enough, especially on this cool X570 motherboard that I've got picked out here. So let's head over to the graphics card, and as I said, you are probably right with the RTX 3070 8GB model. It's $1,298, so chewing up most of the budget from PBTech. I believe that's on special though, so probably about $1,357 non-special price from PC Force. Now the only reason I chose this card is because I had a triple fan cooler design. I thought that's pretty good for cooling performance, especially in a PC like this that's pretty high end. You're gonna need some good cooling in it, otherwise you're gonna maybe run into some issues, because these parts tend to run really hot. And yeah, but again, as I said at the start, if you want to, the 3060 Ti should be more than enough to play the games you want to. I'm not really sure what resolution or what graphics settings or any games you want to play, or even what you want to do with this computer. This is a shot in the dark, but the 3060 Ti is also a good option, and you'll save probably about $300. And luckily in New Zealand we have a lot of these cards still in stock, so you're in luck for that. But not so much on the CPU side. You're gonna have to wait for those. Graphics cards are okay, they're still expensive. Okay, so let's go to the case. We've gone with the Fantex Eclipse P400A ATX case. It's got nice mesh front panel with 3 included fans from what I believe. I'm pretty sure they're included, and they're RGB as well, so you're going to be getting plenty of airflow through here. It's missing one 120mm fan, but I've included that later on. So yeah, the P400A is a pretty nice case, especially for airflow. It's $160 from PBTech, and I believe it's a pretty decent case. There's also the Corsair 400D Airflow Edition, the one with the mesh front panel. That I also really like that case. I was very close to buying it, but I didn't end up doing it. I ended up modding my own case. Yeah, I believe that also is a good option, but it doesn't come with any fans as far as I know. But the 400A, I believe, does come with some fans. Just make sure you go double check when you purchase one. Yeah, it has awesome cable management. Gamers Nexus did a pretty cool review on one. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I've never personally built in one. I've just seen them on reviews and they look pretty decent. So let's head over to some other small options you can go with. I've not actually included in the price of this build. Now, your price is $3,000. That is a lot of money. So if you're willing to sacrifice something like the graphics card, maybe just going with a water block and the AMD Ryzen 5 3600, you'll be able to include these wee accessories here and there. Definitely not necessary to performance, but aesthetics, it definitely looks pretty good. These are cable extensions. Now, what cable extensions do is they make your PC look amazing. That's literally all they do. They have no purpose in performance. They just make your PC look good. If you're spending 3K on a PC, I mean, you probably want your computer to look pretty decent. I mean, the power supply cables that come with the power supply I'm about to show you are pretty nice as well, but these braided sleeve cables are also really nice as well by Cable Mod. They are expensive, $89 from Computer Lounge, but you got a hell of a lot of options here to customize your build. I personally have sleeve cables, not from Cable Mod, than from AliExpress. They were only about, pretty sure about $35 for a whole set, so very, very cheap. And what's included with these is one 24-pin, one 8-pin EPS, one 4x4 EPS. So if you have that new option on your X570, I'm not really sure. I couldn't see on the motherboard. Some motherboards come with one 8-pin for your CPU and an extra 4-pin for your CPU now. And it comes with two 8-pin PCIe, one 6-pin PCIe, and some cable combs as well, which is also really nice. The cable combs make it look real good. Cable Mod, yeah, I've never used their cables. I've never touched their cables. I've just seen reviews on their cables, and they look very good quality. They are like the name go-to brand when it comes to cable extensions. So enough raving on about customizing a computer. Let's get over to the power supply to finish up the build. Now I've gone with the Corsair HX Platinum 750 watt Platinum certified fully modular power supply. This guy's a monster. He's really long, and yeah, I think you're probably gonna need this for your computer. 750 watt at least, especially if you go with something like the 3700X and a RTX 3070. That's one hell of a build, to be honest. That's quite a monster. So $269 from Computer Lounge, I think that's quite realistic. Do not skimp on your power supply, especially with these parts. I know it's at a premium price, especially for a power supply, but for premium parts you do not want to skimp, and you want to make sure your power drawer is clean. And this is something these power supplies can supply, and there's a reason they are platinum certified, usually at least. And yeah, I mean, the HX 750 is pretty decent, and highly recommend it. I've never used it myself, just seen reviews as well. I can't even afford this build. It's quite outlandish, to be honest with you, but if you have the money, you can go for it. It's one monster of a computer. And yeah, so that's about sums up the build. 2,979 for the one that I've listed here, and for the this build without the AIO would be 2,720, and the one with the AIO and the 3700X or the 5600X would be 3,137, including the water block. So yeah, one hell of a build. We should be able to handle 2K ultra settings. I'd say probably yeah, very easily. I'm not too sure about 4K. 4K is pretty hard to run. You probably do 4K medium at least, but I'd definitely say at least 2K or high ultra on most newest games that have come out. It's an RTX 3070. It's like, what can you get better than that? There's only like a few graphics cards better than it now, like 4 of them. So yeah, it's a crazy build, but I hope you enjoy it if you do build it. Oh, sorry, I forgot the fan. the fan. It's a Corsair LR120, and it's $52 from First Wave and Computer Lounge. It's RGB. It looks pretty good, and I've heard they have really good airflow as well. Sorry, I forgot about that. Make sure you get that if you get this case, because you're missing one exhaust fan, so you want that pointing outwards, so the air will go out that way. So yeah, again, if you build it, congratulations, that's an amazing build. Overkill as it is, for gaming, it's really overkill, but yeah, if you have the money, sure, go for it. But yeah, this is like a dream computer almost. So that about sums up the video. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for Tony Rotherham for watching. Make sure you go check out ystech.org for more posts and content. I'm trying to upload more regularly, but we'll see how that goes when uni catches up with me soon. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you have an awesome day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!